What is good, everybody? Welcome into the Red Friday live chat. It is Friday, April the 26th, and we are doing this Red Friday live chat a little earlier than we usually do. I actually intended on doing this in the morning, but had a lot of, let's just say I got caught up doing a lot of stuff, both content-wise and non-content related wise. So apologies for those of you who were looking for the Red Friday live chat in the morning, but I think people would watch anyway later in the afternoon. The second day of the draft starting in about an hour and 20 minutes. And it's going to be kind of an interesting day to see what happens. This is where things start to get a little unpredictable. You know, you see players, a lot of the players that are projected to go in round two, you usually see that. But then you also see more players that are projected to go in later rounds that maybe end up getting drafted in the second round. And then in the third round, or at least all these board who you think will go in the third round, you just never know. This is when the unpredictability starts. But if you do your due diligence with these kinds of things, if teams know what to do scouting wise, if they've got a really good eye on certain players that they really want to get, and I think Brett Veach has done a great job of that in recent years, then this is going to pan out very well for you. The Chiefs have done very well drafting in recent years. They really have. Last year's draft class, not terrible, but also not bad, not great either. Nothing to really write home about with the overall body of work there. But 2022, 2021, two great draft classes there. In the 2021 draft class, there was no first-round draft pick. So when you look at who the Chiefs got in those two draft classes, a lot of great players outside of the first round. And in general, I mean, they've done a lot, those players, to help the Chiefs go back-to-back. So it's definitely been something that Brett Veach, just the job Brett Veach has done, has been fun to watch. It really has. And I hope it continues. I really do, because I think what Brett Veach is doing to help this football team improve and play better is it's beautiful to watch. It really is. And I just want to know, what are they going to do tonight? Because they got themselves a really good offensive weapon in Xavier Worthy. And they've got, I think when you look at Kansas City's depth overall on offense, it's way better than where it was 365. I really believe that. I don't think anyone can deny what the Chiefs are doing. You're starting to see a lot of people, even outside of Kansas City, they're like, yeah, the Chiefs are on their way to three-peating. I think a lot of people learned their lesson about doubting Mahomes, Andy Reid, this Chiefs team. A lot of people, they've learned their lesson with the Chiefs. And here we are getting ready for day two of the draft. Come on in, pull a chair, relax. Let me know your thoughts on everything. I'll read your guys' comments and questions. Let me just quickly go over some of the reactions from Friday night, or Thursday night, rather. Yeah, last night with Xavier Worthy. I think, to recap with the Xavier Worthy draft pick, this is not a wide receiver that is being brought in because you have absolutely nobody and you need this guy to make big plays and lead your wide receiver room. Not what the Xavier Worthy draft pick is all about. Is Xavier Worthy going to be a 1,000-yard receiver? Probably not. Probably not. I would bet on Travis Kelce to be the first 1,000-yard pass catcher and maybe a second in Hollywood Brown. If things are going very well on offense, maybe Xavier Worthy. I would consider Rice, but with a potential suspension, and again, we don't know exactly when that's going to be announced. If it's going to be this season or the season before, we're not really sure. But I think this whole situation here with the Chiefs and their offense, they're going in a better direction. They really are. I think you're seeing a lot of the Chiefs. They're all in on trying to three-peat. And Brett Veach has done a phenomenal job with this football team the past few years. Whenever there's a glaring hole at Patrick Mahomes, he's addressed it. He did that with the offensive line in the 2021 offseason, and he's doing that with the wide receivers this offseason. And I'm telling you right now, Brett Veach, the job he's done as general manager, I mean, he might be the best executive in the NFL right now. I don't know who you put above him. Howie Roseman is great general manager for Philadelphia, but I don't think he's doing as good of a job as Brett Veach is. Remember something, the Tyreek Hill trade. I mean, everyone thought that the Chiefs were getting ready for their downfall, and the complete opposite happened. So this is a football team that, it's not the whole situation with Tyreek moving on. They're getting better. Patrick Mahomes almost unanimously won MVP in his first year. And the whole the Chiefs need Tyreek Hill narrative, that went away. That went away pretty quickly. But then it came back the Tuesday morning after the Chiefs-Eagles Monday Night Football game. And Stephen A. Smith on his show, and forgive me, I don't watch any of these I sound like a robot every other word. It might be my internet. Hold on, let me pull it up. We've had this happen before, so we'll see. Let me pull it up. But anyway, Stephen A. Smith, he said on his show that the Chiefs needed Tyreek Hill. Said it roughly 17 months after the Chiefs had already traded Tyreek Hill. In his first year. Yeah, my Wi-Fi is a little iffy. Maybe that's why there are fewer comments right now. So I'll have to fix that. But you guys can archive later. But I will say this. With all the negativity surrounding the Chiefs, people doubting the Chiefs, because again, Stephen A. Smith was the one who brought it up. Hey, they need Tyreek Hill back. Well, you're saying this 17 months after, but you weren't saying it the week of Super Bowl 57. But now, because there are some drop issues going on, yeah, they need Tyreek Hill back. Because Tyreek Hill at the time with the Dolphins, they were on this tear offensively where it seemed like nobody could stop them from scoring. But then you look at the Chiefs right now, they went back-to-back without Tyreek Hill again. I mean, that's just this football team right now. They need key players. I'm not saying you don't need key players to win. Patrick Mahomes can't do it on his own. I think Super Bowl 55 was a really good indication of that. But this is a football team that will always find a way. They found a way without Tyreek Hill. They'll find a way without L'Jarius Sneed. I know we're talking strictly on offense, but my point bringing up L'Jarius Sneed, a lot of people consider him one of the best cornerbacks this past season. He is one of the best quarterbacks from this past season. But the Chiefs will find ways to succeed without him. As great as he is, as much as I wish he was still on the team. So the fact that they're bringing in Xavier Worthy, these are all guys. Again, Hollywood Brown, he's good. Xavier Worthy, he's good. Rashee Rice, he's good. And again, we'll see what the pending suspension kind of looming over his head right now. But you don't need to have a Tyreek Hill and then a lot of other depth support guys. These are all three very good receivers who I think, Rashee Rice, obviously, still very young. It's his second year in the NFL now. Xavier Worthy is obviously just got drafted, so he's clearly a rookie. And you have Hollywood Brown, who's been around for, 5 seasons, I think. I think all of these guys, hypothetically speaking, if they were cut today, they could be number one wide receiver on a lot of other NFL rosters right now. I think there are a few teams where they would not be able to do that. I don't think they would get that on Miami's team because they've got 2 very good wide receivers. They've got San Francisco has some very good wide receivers. The Eagles have some very good wide receivers. So there are a few teams that, they probably would not be able to be a number one receiver on, but a lot of other rosters out there. Yeah. I think a lot of agents be called from teams because teams would want them to be a number one wide receiver on their roster for sure. Layla says Tyreek Hill leaving was the best thing ever. In a weird way, yeah, you kind of look back and it was. That's a crazy thing about this this whole situation is nobody. I mean, listen, I personally thought the Chiefs would be fine Like, yeah, I was bummed out about Tyreek leaving, but I didn't think it was all doom and gloom like a lot of people thought. And Clark Hunt, when the Chiefs beat the Bengals after the AFC title game, Clark Hunt did a press conference, and he wasn't taking shots at the media, but he did acknowledge in his press conference that if you paid attention to the national media in the offseason, they don't want to single out Tyreek Hill by name. They don't want to do that kind of thing, but they just give you a specific time frame. They say, hey, in the spring, if you listen to the media, it sounded like we wouldn't even come close to this point. Obviously referring to the reaction from the Tyreek Hill trade. And they've gone back to back. Winning a championship is hard. Winning a championship 2 years in a row is even harder. Three-peating is harder, which has never been done before. But go back to back part. The Chiefs, as difficult as it is to go back to back, they've had two opportunities to go back to back. Super Bowl 54 and Super Bowl 55. Obviously, could not get the job done at Super Bowl 55. And then after a 1 year hiatus for the Super Bowl, they go to Super Bowl 57 and they go to Super Bowl 58, winning both of those. And the weird part about Kansas City's Super Bowl wins with this core group of guys, they've all been come from behind wins. The 10-point deficit in all of them. The first one, Super Bowl 54, was probably the more impressive one because it was down by 10 midway through the fourth quarter, and Kansas City just went off on the 49ers, both offensively and defensively. Chris Jones getting pressures, batted passes, not allowing Jimmy Garoppolo to make the plays. And part of it is Kyle Shanahan, once again, of all people, not running the football just to close out the game. And he was able to go out there, force a lot of short-lived drives, and the Chiefs just took over and took advantage of that. But my point is, the Chiefs have found ways every single time. Listen, the Chiefs are going to continue to go to a lot of Super Bowl. Are they going to win all of them? No. If you go to as many championships as you think the Chiefs will go to, they're not going to win all of them. Tom Brady has been to, 10 Super Bowls. It's hard to keep track of. He did not win all of them. The crazy part is the 3 times he's lost, 2 of them were to Eli Manning. And listen, if you want to have, not that we're going to do it on this podcast, but if you want to have an Eli Manning Hall of Fame debate, I mean, there's a serious discussion about that. Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he not? And then the other Super Bowl loss was to Nick Foles, a backup quarterback. So when a guy like Tom Brady's lost 3 times in the Super Bowl. Well, 3 Super Bowl losses is a lot. The Buffalo Bills lost 4 in a row. But the difference here is Tom Brady's been to so many Super Bowls. Kobe Bryant, he's been to a lot of NBA finals. He's lost a couple of them, right? LeBron James, he's been to many championships. And, unfortunately for him, he's lost more than he's won. That's the way things work. I think the only athlete in pro sports who has gone to so many championships and has never lost, I off the top of my head, I can think of, is Michael Jordan. It's the only person I can think of. So, look, you have guys who, like Patrick Mahomes, who are going to do a lot more championships in his future. If he wins all of them, great. It will be quite a journey, quite a run. But odds are he's going to lose another Super Bowl in his future because he goes to so many. If Aaron Rodgers, he's only won 1 Super Bowl. He's never lost a Super Bowl, but that's because he's never been to another Super Bowl. If he told me, I think it was the Saints. They won the Super Bowl with Drew Brees in 2009. And the year after that, it was the Packers with Aaron Rodgers in 2010. 2 very good quarterbacks, 2 future Hall of Famers. But if you told me that after the Super Bowl that never go to another Super Bowl again, I would have said you're absolutely crazy. Those guys absolutely have the talent. I know Rodgers has been close many times. Brees was close the same year the Chiefs lost to the Patriots in the AFC title game. But when you look at overall, it's very difficult to go to a championship, man. Kind of what I was saying just a couple of minutes ago. It's not easy to get there. So cherish everything you're seeing with this Chiefs team right now, because for the longest time, I always wondered, man, I mean, forget about Super Bowls. I just wondered if we'd ever see a playoff win because it had been a very long time. A playoff win has happened in my lifetime pre Patrick Mahomes, or pre Alex Smith, I guess I should say, because Alex Smith did lead the Chiefs to a playoff win. But I was very young, very, very young. And now, you're seeing the Chiefs go on this tear in this 6-year run that a lot of NFL teams cannot do. I think Nick Wright put out a 5-year stretch. This is like the best 5-year stretch in NFL history in terms of total wins. So you have that going for you if you're Kansas City. Didn't Hill have some of the most drops in his last year with us? Yes, he did. But here's the thing. And by the way, Kelsey did also. He had a lot of drops that same year as well. Why did the Chiefs choose to go with Kelsey over Hill? Well, wide receivers are easier to replace than tight ends. I think you've already seen that so far, given the outcome. But Kelsey also does a lot of things at the tight end position a lot of other tight ends do not do in helping wide receivers. Listen, Tyreek Hill helped Kelsey get open, and Kelsey helped Hill get open. They both helped each other for sure. But I think what Kelsey does in the middle does a lot more. And by the way, going back to that whole Tyreek Hill trade, is a lot of people thought this Chiefs offense was going to take a lot of steps back because Travis Kelce was going to get double teamed. Well, he did, but not successfully. And you still saw a lot of big plays made by Travis Kelce. And now you have Hollywood Brown and you have Xavier Worthy and you have Rashee Rice. Again, suspension looming over his head right now. There are a lot of really good wide receivers on this team that can take the load off Travis Kelce's shoulders. This is going to be a very interesting year for the Chiefs offense because Travis Kelce no longer has all this pressure on him. Remember when the Chiefs lost that week 1 game to the Lions and Chris Jones was still holding out, Travis Kelce was injured, and a lot of people said, well, Mahomes can't win without his 2 best teammates available. Well, I don't agree because that's not necessarily why they lost. Mahomes was not doing anything wrong in that football game. Not his fault that Kadarius Toney was dropping passes, letting it go off his hands to a defensive player for pick 6. Not his fault at all. And Jones not being available is not why the Chiefs lost that week 1 game. So now you look at this Chiefs team and who they have. This is a Chiefs offense that is poised to do some damage in 2024. I'm very excited to see what this Chiefs offense is going to do. I really am. You know, the last thing I'll leave you with in reacting to this Xavier Worthy draft pick and how much it really bolsters the offense. Did you guys? I'm sure you guys all heard Antonio Pierce, the new head coach for the Raiders, what he said in a podcast I think he did with Max Crosby, and he says that the Raiders have the secret recipe to beat Patrick Mahomes. Really? So, the Raiders, if you want to look at the numbers, the Raiders beat the Chiefs once every 3 years recently. 2014, 2017, 2020, and 2023. So once every 3 years. So every 3-year window, the Raiders go 1-5 against the Chiefs. And just recently, they continued that tradition of winning once every 3 years. It was obviously a very unconventional win where they did not complete a pass for the second, third, and fourth quarters. Which Raiders fans, that is like their Super Bowl banner. In the 21 years that the Raiders have not won a playoff game, that is their Super Bowl. Beating the Chiefs on holiday without completing a pass for the last 3 quarters. That's their Super Bowl right there. Okay. Meanwhile, the Chiefs are actually winning Super Bowls in their own home stadium. Let's be honest, it's not their own home stadium. The Chiefs own that stadium now. They're 5-0 in that stadium, for crying out loud. But this is a Chiefs team right now that tools to succeed on offense and do better than they did last year. Going back to my point about Antonio Pierce, he said they have the recipe to beat Mahomes. I'm telling you right now, you better go 2-0 and absolutely demolish Mahomes, because if you're going to sit here publicly and say, hey, we know how to beat him, it's easy, we have the recipe for it, dude, your defense better show out. And don't change that energy now that they've got Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, because people are going to hold to it. You guys all know that account on Twitter or X, Phrasing Cold Takes? Yeah, they're ready. They are absolutely ready to let. I'm just going to say something right now. I don't see the hype with Antonio Pierce. I'm telling you right now, all these Raiders fans that are thrilled and they think Antonio Pierce is going to finally lead them out of the hellhole in the basement of the AFC. No, you guys aren't going anywhere. You guys are staying put where you are. Again, like, who's your quarterback? Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell. Like, I don't even think anyone knows who the week one starter is going to be. Got some nice weapons. Guess what? So did Derek Carr, who was a bad quarterback, and you saw it in New Orleans too. But my point is, with the Raiders, they props to winning. You give credit to winning no matter how you do it, but you're not going to win that same way every single time by not completing a pass and relying on the offense to give you 2 defensive touchdowns in the span of 7 seconds. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. This is the same team that lost to the Vikings 3-0. And that was not the Kirk Cousins Minnesota Vikings. That was a backup quarterback that played for the Minnesota Vikings. So, overall body of work, I don't see the hype of Antonio Pierce. I'm telling you guys right now, this Raiders team is struggle. And all the same Raiders fans who are thrilled about this upcoming season with Pierce, they're the same ones who are going to be calling for his job by November. And I'm going to be the one reminding Raiders fans of this. I will. You guys be ready for it. Eli's a Hall of Famer for sure. I mean, listen, I think so. He had 2 big Super Bowl wins against the high and mighty New England Patriots. I think you deserve to go in 100%. Was he perfect in his career? No, absolutely not. And the weird thing is, if I recall correctly, I don't think the Giants ever won a playoff game from the non-Super Bowl seasons, which is weird. So listen, the Kansas City Royals, they don't go to the playoffs often, but the last 3 playoff appearances they've had, they reached the World Series. So when they find a way to make it happen, they make the most of it, at least. So at least, Eli kind of has that going for him when it comes to his Hall of Fame resume. Mahomes is Jordan of the NFL, better than all the quarterbacks that I mentioned. Yeah. I mean, listen, there's no one better than Patrick Mahomes right now. No one at all. And I think in terms of overall level of play in NFL history, I think Tom Brady is the only quarterback who is better than Mahomes. Overall talent-wise, it's 100% Mahomes, 100%. Once Mahomes starts collecting all of these championship wins, yeah, he's going to surpass Brady, and he will be the GOAT. No question about it. And look, don't take my word for it. I mean, I've never played NFL football, so what do I know? But maybe you can take it from James White. Okay, I'm sure you guys remember James White. He spent his entire career with the New England Patriots. He is part of the Patriots all-dynasty team. So this is not some nobody that was just on the pitch for like 2 or 3 seasons as a backup. This is a guy that actually played a vital role in helping the Patriots win some Super Bowls. But he was on Sirius XM NFL radio, and he clearly said Patrick Mahomes is on his way to catching Tom Brady. So don't take it from me. Take it from him, who knows, a guy who knows better than me. Yeah, Breeze was, he wasn't like anything close to Mahomes, but he just played some really good, crisp football. I think he and Aaron Rodgers, I know those were the 2 names I kind of mentioned consecutively, but I think those 2 guys were very, very similar. The difference is Rodgers, I would say, was the more sharper quarterback. And if you look at his quarterback to interception ratio, it's very high. I think Mahomes has a higher ratio now in NFL history, but I mean, Rodgers, for the longest time, I've always wondered, like, man, I'd really love a quarterback like that. I remember he had a playoff game in like 2010 or 2011. I think the year where the Packers won the Super Bowl. He had a playoff game where he went 31 of 38 passing, only 5 incompletions and 38 pass attempts, which is just insane. I mean, unheard of. You don't ever see that. I agree. I think Mahomes will for sure finish with more Super Bowl wins than or win multiple more Super Bowls. Okay, I missed that for a moment. What do you want the Chiefs to draft next? I've said this for a long time. I would love it if the Chiefs got Patrick Paul. I really like what Patrick Paul did in Houston. Went up against some good pass rushers in the Big 12. And I think it was the 3-year starter for the Houston Cougars. So that is the one guy. And I know Houston was out in the Big 12 every year. But I really like what Patrick Paul did during his time in Houston. So that is a guy I would love to have at left tackle. And I think might be good competition against Wanya Morris. If the Chiefs decide to not draft a left tackle, what that tells me is they're ready to move on with Wanya Morris. Maybe they bring back Donovan Smith. I won't dismiss that possibility, but I don't really want that to happen. Though I do think Donovan Smith did play better in the postseason than he did in the regular season when he came back from his injury, which players from me, you kind of worry a little bit. Do they lose a step or two? Are they able to recover fully and play better from that? But no, Donovan Smith, I thought certainly played better in the playoffs. Oh, look at this. Travis Kelce working out with Patrick Mahomes. I'm gonna quickly post this if you guys don't mind, so bear with me for a moment here. If you guys have any questions, comment below. Let me know your thoughts. I'll get to them. I see Melania in the comments, so I will get to those shortly. Just bear with me for a moment here, and let me see if I can get this. This is not an old picture. I don't think it is. But yeah, Travis Kelce looks like he has made his way to Texas and is working out with Mahomes. We haven't seen Travis Kelce work out with the rest of the team down south, where Mahomes, essentially that's the offseason headquarters for the Chiefs. It's really good to see, though, because we've seen Luis Rees-Zammit. He's out there trying to get involved, getting to know Patrick Mahomes and some of the other guys, obviously trying to get acclimated to the game of football. So it is good to see him go out there and start working out with the guys, and hopefully we see some good things, because when you look at this Chiefs offense and the speed they have, LRZ is a guy that I think can definitely contribute out of the backfield. And by the way, let's talk about LRZ one more time, and I'll get back to the second round. So we'll get back to the original question. But when you look at the new kick return rules, how it's almost like rugby, LRZ is the perfect guy to have. And in fact, the Chiefs signed him shortly after those kick return rule changes were made. And then you have Xavier Worthy, who is just fast, as we all know, and someone who could handle kick return duties. Because I'll say this right now, prior to the LRZ signing, I feel like return duties were wide open for punt and kickoff returns. And the kickoff return rules, they're going to be very weird. I'm very intrigued to see how that all unfolds. But man, I'm excited to see what the Chiefs are going to do with that position. Special teams is going to be fun to watch. Harrison Butker is the best kicker in the NFL right now. You got the punt god now on the team. You got a speedster, maybe 2 speedsters on return duties. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm going to write this real quickly, guys. Okay. There we go. Okay. Appreciate you guys bearing with me on that as I post that. So always helps to post during a live stream. It actually does add a lot of eyes to the live streams, whether it's live or afterwards. Yeah, I want left tackle. Patrick Paul is a guy I really like. He's played really well for Houston, and I think he's someone that can do some good things for the Chiefs if he's given the opportunity. So that's who I would like to see Chiefs go and get in tonight's draft. And by the way, Joel Charles is going to be announcing the pick, so that'll be a lot of fun to see. Honestly, I thought we'd draft a tackle or offensive lineman, but I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah, and I think the Chiefs, who was their number one guy realistically at 32 or a potential trade up? Who knows? We may never know, but um, I think Jordan Morgan was the guy that they had. The kid from Oklahoma was a pretty good offensive tackle as well during his time in college. So there are probably a couple of offensive tackles they definitely considered in the first round. So that's a nice part about last night's draft is there were a lot of things that were going in Kansas City's way when you look at the draft board and picking 32. And the Chiefs felt the need to trade up right when they did and wanted to secure Xavier Worthy, which I'm still stoked about. Just like you, Jim, I was pleasantly surprised as well. The Babe Ruth of QBs, I'll take that. Kadarius Toney and Justin Watson can out with Kelsey. Yeah. Hey, I got a question for you guys. Let's just say we have 6 wide receivers on the team going into week 1. And Roger Goodell did say that they're going to wait on the legal matter with Rashee Rice before handing in a suspension. The legal matter for these things, they can take a long time. The Britt Reed thing took almost 2 years. So if Roger Goodell is being serious about what he said, there's a chance Rashee Rice might not get suspended this year, but might get suspended next year instead. So here's my question. With that information in mind, who do you think the 6 wide receivers will be going into the 2024 season? There's no right or wrong answer. I just want to know, who do you guys think are the 6 wide receivers? Comment below and let me know. Because I was thinking about that last night during the live stream. And I'll tell you guys right now, my 6. Obviously, the 3 guys, Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, and Xavier Worthy. We got 3 already. I think Kadarius Toney is that you're still gonna use. I think Justin Watson, he's been a good depth guy. He's a veteran on the team. I think you still want to have him. So that leaves 1 more, assuming it's 6. It's either going to be Sky Moore, it's either going to be Justin Ross or Nico Remigio, or maybe it's going to be a wide receiver they get later in the draft. I really like Jalen Coker, who is expected to go in the 4th or the 5th round. So my point is, Justin Ross' time in Kansas City might be nearing the end here because you don't have room to keep everybody. I know there's all this hype and all the talk about how, he's got potential, and if he wasn't hurt, he would have been a first-round pick. And the Chiefs are very giving of those kinds of opportunities. But he struggled picking up the offense, according to Albert Breer. And listen, maybe he might thrive in another offense. We've heard a lot of things about Andy Reid's offense and how complicated it is, and it can be difficult to get a good grasp of. But if he's struggling with it, why keep him? If he has a good preseason, maybe you can trade him, kind of like you did with Emir Smith-Marset last year after the preseason. So I'm very curious to know who your guys' 6 or 7 wide receivers could be. I think it'll be 6. I don't think they're going to have 7 again like they did last year. We can take another linebacker or a nickel guy after that, as long as they stay offense this pick. I can see that, Chris. I actually would not be surprised if they wanted to bring in another defensive interior guy, even though they brought back almost all of their defensive linemen. But the linebacker spot, I could see that. I could see that for sure. Man, adding to that quarterback depth would be good too. If there's a guy they really like in the 4th round, or maybe in the 3rd round, if they can find a way to trade up. The Raiders don't even belong in the NFL. They should move to the CFL. And Glenn responds, says UFL. What's the, is that the new XFL, the UFL or USFL? I'm sorry, guys. I don't keep up with that stuff. The Montreal Raiders. Raiders couldn't draft a quarterback last night. That was hilarious. That was awesome. You had the number 13 pick, and you could not get the quarterback you wanted. 6 quarterbacks went. And I do think Denver could have gotten their quarterback a little later, maybe. I feel like the Raiders would have gotten Bo Nix out of a desperation. So that's maybe why Denver didn't move down. because I think Denver, they settled with that pick. They're like, hey, everyone else is gone. We kind of have to settle with this. So, listen, I think he'll get better. And listen, I think Brock Bowers is a great player too, but who is going to throw you the ball? Who's going to throw Devontae Adams the ball? The same Devontae Adams who was bitching and moaning about being wide open and no one throwing the ball to him. And the following week, when someone does start throwing the ball to him, he starts dropping it. It's like, come on, man. What are you doing? Yeah, I mean, that Raiders organization is just in shambles. I love how, I love how Raiders fans love to remind Chiefs fans about how they went 50 years without a Super Bowl win. The Raiders are at 40 plus years right now. They're looming in on 50 years as well. So you probably might want to change direction for who you're, say it all about. Maybe say it about your team, because you're coming up on 50 years. The Raiders aren't going to win a championship anytime soon. They're not winning a playoff game anytime soon. No way. If they do, it'd be out of a Disney book, essentially. The Bills are having a rebuilding year. Oh, that's a good way to put it, Jim. Raiders fans are more in love with their silver and black colors than their football team. That's a fact. Hey, I think the silver and black color scheme is awesome. Listen, I'll say it right now. The Raiders, I love the colors black and silver. I think they've got the coolest jerseys in the NFL, and I think they've got the best stadium in the NFL. I really do believe that. I haven't been to SoFi yet. Looks nice on the outside. I'd love to visit that at some point, and definitely will in future. Probably not going to be this year, but I'll figure it out at some point. My favorite colors are red, black, and silver. So, yeah. And I love it when the Golden Knights wear their rose silver jerseys. I'm a Vegas Golden Knights fan, if you guys didn't know. Brady had a 10-year drought after winning 3. I don't see a 10-year drought coming up for Mahomes. No, I could see a drought after they three-peat. I really do. Because you have a lot of guys who are entering the final years of their contracts. So there might be some... maybe not rebuilding, but reloading. I still think the Chiefs will be competitive, just like how Brady and the Patriots were during that 10-year drought, Mo, that you're referring to. They're just not going to be as dominant for a little bit. That's just the way we're. Listen, Peyton Manning, what was his biggest period of time between 2 Super Bowl appearances? I don't have it in front of me. And he only won 2, which Mahomes has already surpassed. But I do agree. I don't think there will be a 10-year drought. I don't see that at all. Yes, I really would like Jalen Coker. That's my preference, but I do think they will take one more. You kind of have to, as an insurance policy in case you have some injuries. I would like Cody Schrader. Jake, I'm gonna guess you're a Mizzou guy. Hey, nothing against I'm a Jayhawk, but once I get to the NFL, hey, I can let it go. I put Cody Schrader in one of my mock drafts, and there were a lot of people who loved it. I know a lot of people are obviously very partial whenever their favorite college players get drafted to their favorite pro team. But I think they're that would be a big get. I don't know what the odds are of the Chiefs getting a running back, though. Maybe they get one more. And if they do, I think it'll officially kind of seal the end of Jerick McKinnon in Kansas City, which is unfortunate because I think he's done some great things for the Chiefs in his 3 seasons with the team. LRZ is going to be nasty as long as he can get the concept of the NFL. Yeah. But the important thing with him is being able to understand skill, which I don't think is very difficult to do. Because in a sport like rugby, and I don't want to sit here and say rugby is just like the NFL, but there are a lot of similarities in those 2 sports. The physicality is a big part of it. Now, getting tackled in rugby is a lot different than getting tackled in football, because in football, you've got the pads. You got to put those on, and he's definitely going to be feeling different physically there and not going to be as fast. He'll still be fast, just not as fast as he as a rugby player would. The big thing for me with LRZ, putting on that helmet and having that limited vision And how do you try to adjust around that? That I think is going to be the biggest learning curve for him. Bobby Stroup. I love Bobby Stroup, man. His tweets are awesome. Bobby Stroup was laughing at the Bills' round one blunders. I get a good laugh with him. Yeah, I mean, he's hilarious on Twitter. Really is. You know what's funny is he is right a lot. And it's not like he's trash talking or rubbing it in. He may kind of like, you know, do like a little discreet indirect shot in response to certain comments. I loved it on the Netflix show Quarterback, where he's working with Mahomes right before the AFC Championship game, and he brings up Burrowhead, and he's like, "Yeah, I know you don't like that." You know what my favorite part is? The Chiefs absolutely just like took in the whole Burrowhead thing, and even Chris Jones in his press conference, he's like, "Hey, I'll see you all at Burrowhead stage." Like, okay, I love it. That's where we're going. Yeah, I agree with you, John. I think it is best case for a three-peat. Yeah, they're definitely moving in that direction. I hope he's available. He should be, you know. And again, mock drafts are a nice little guidance to have there, but it's not everything. It's really not. I know Buffalo Bills fans, they're like, oh, all the people we were projected to get a mock drafts, they're still available in round 2 with the 33rd pick. Okay, great. You just helped your conference rival of all teams that you cannot even beat in the playoffs. You can beat them in the regular season. Cool. Great. Like, how is that translated to postseason success? I mean, listen, Josh Allen's great, but the turnovers are seriously a problem. And some of the drama in Buffalo recently, I mean, it's no joke. And the other thing about Buffalo is whenever they have a big game against Kansas City, they can't win. They just cannot win. And then the one time they played the Bengals, dude, the Bills didn't even show up for that game. And they start making excuses about the snow and all that shit. It's like, get out of here, man. You lost. Blake says, Worthy, Rice, Brown, more Tony, Ross. So I mean, this is, I guess, what the thought. Now, maybe the Chiefs still draft the wide receiver in the 7th round, or maybe one of the 5th round picks. And that player could be a practice squad player. KT can sit on the practice team, if not on the street. Yeah, maybe. Listen, someone will pick him up if he was available, if was on the practice squad. Hunt. Ross for the big body wide receiver in Kansas City. I mean, I hope so. I just don't know like when we're going to start seeing that. And listen, I'm willing to give Ross one more chance. If Ross can have a shot year, he'll stick around. If not, his time is done as well. I think I agree with this, Chris. I do. And listen, I'm willing to give Ross one more chance because the whole drop situation last year, if it was one player, and I even had this conversation with JJ Burton, and he backed me up on this. I say that because he's an NFL player and I'm not. So, you know, he knows more than I do. But if it was just one player, I could sit here and say, okay, why is Kadarius Toney the only guy dropping the passes over and over again? Why are the same mistakes happening? But it wasn't just Kadarius Toney. It was everybody. It was even on special teams with McCole Hardman and Montreal Washington. The fumbles with Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Rashee Rice. The big thing about that Rashee Rice needs to work on this offseason, in addition to staying out of trouble, is you got to work on ball security. He had a lot of fumbles. He had one in the Super Bowl as well. Fortunately, did not go in San Francisco's hands, but you got to be better about that kind of thing. But my point is, every wide receiver across the board struggled with the drops, including Justin Ross, who didn't play much. He didn't get a lot of snaps. He didn't get a lot of targets. Yet, he still contributed to the whole drop drama that was going on, if you will. I think we need a linebacker to replace Willie Gay Jr. Yeah, that is that's a big loss when it comes to stopping the run. And I remember when he was a last minute inactive guy on right before the AFC Championship game. A lot of people were a little nervous about that because what do the Ravens do an amazing job of? Running the football. And they were able to still come away with a big win. So I think you definitely need to draft someone, Kyle, whether it's going to be today or maybe in day 3 to have some depth. I know that the Chiefs really like Jack Cochran. They think he's someone that can provide some good depth for this linebacking unit. So we'll see. Chris Jones and Sweat are names to watch. Yeah. You're thinking of Devontae Sweat, right? From Texas. I think that's what you're thinking of. I think they're going to move to cut ties with Rice. They don't want the media all year asking about his court case. It's a distraction at a minimum and a disruption to the team at most. I disagree, Timothy, and here's why. They're not going to give up on Rice. Because of the outcome wasn't as bad as it could have been, I don't think they're going to cut him. The other thing about the whole distraction part, listen, the Chiefs, they were kind of dealing with the whole Britt Reid situation that was out there. And Andy Reid, listen, Andy Reid has a lot of power with this organization. I think every head coach, the team will back him all the way with these kinds of things, especially the PR staff. But whenever there was an update about Britt Reid where he pled guilty or pled not guilty, or, hey, sentencing date has been announced, anytime there was significant news about Britt Reid, Andy Reid, whenever his next press conference was, he would open it up by saying, hey, listen, I know there's some updates about Britt. We will not be answering questions about that. That's it. That's all you got to say. That is all I say. Because if I'm not mistaken, did anyone in the Raiders media ask about Devontae Adams shoving the guy? I don't think they ever did, whether it's Adams or to the coaches, anyone. And obviously that whole thing was dropped eventually, but and not to compare the two instances, but he was charged with assault and had a court date, and it just got dropped later on. My point is, the Chiefs will find a way around that with the PR staff. And I know people have their opinions about the media, but whenever there's no update, the media does a good job of like, okay, we'll hold off on asking questions until there is an update. I mean, I don't think he went too late. Keep in mind, like 6 quarterbacks went, and he was the 5th. I can't remember, 4th or 5th. I want to say the 5th. I feel bad. So I was listening to Mad Dog Sports Radio about that. Watching Bills fans' reaction to the trade and Worthy pick was priceless. Oh, Jesus. I mean, and the video I uploaded, and shout outs to the people who allowed me to upload that video of theirs. There was a guy trying to start a Chiefs suck chant. Bro, you've lost to the Chiefs every time in the playoffs, and you want to start that chant? Okay. All right. You're saying Allegiant Stadium's the best, not SoFi? Okay. Just when baby doesn't apply anymore? I mean, I think just like win something would be the motto at this point. Do something. If the Chiefs pull it off, we should try to get wide receiver Lad McConkey. Oh, no, that's not happening, Kyle. Plus, it's like, who's going to protect Patrick Mahomes' blind side? That is very important. All these receivers, they're nice, but if you don't have a good left tackle, a lot of it will essentially be worthless. It's almost like a wide receiver who has great skill sets, but if they can't hold on to the football, what does it matter? We talked about that a lot last year, didn't we? Because I saw Peter Schrager say this whenever L'Jarius Sneed was traded away. There was a Chiefs fan tweeting him saying, why would you keep Jones over Sneed when Sneed is younger and has more upside, which is somewhat true. But Schrager's response was, L'Jarius Sneed only takes away one player. Chris Jones and a good pass rushing unit, they take away all the receivers for a quarterback to throw to. So if you don't have a left tackle, it's not going to mean much to have Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, and Xavier Worthy. So hopefully they can address that today. That'd be nice. Unless they feel really good about Wanya Morris. Cost $1 billion. This is how they causing ticket prices to rise without other teams building new stadiums. Why do I have to pay the league average for tickets to afford teams that build new stadiums? So I don't go to a lot of games, but I guess I wasn't really aware of that. For those of you who attended a Chiefs game recently, like how much did you guys pay? And what level were you at? I don't need to know exactly where you sat, like first row or any of that. I don't need to know any of that. But if you were like on the first level, second level, or the third level, I'd be very curious to know what you guys pay for tickets. That's watching right now, I'm probably like near the bottom when it comes to no amount of sporting events I attend, especially football games. I just enjoy. People ask all the time, why do I not go to games more often? I just enjoy the home viewing experience way more. Bet we trade back tonight for a third +1. Yeah, maybe possible. The Buffalo Bills are so broke they can't afford a first round pick. That's why they traded back in case they offered them more than the other 31 teams. Yeah, maybe. But again, you just don't deal with the Chiefs. There's a reason why they told Stephon Diggs, hey, you want to seek a trade? Fine. You can talk to anyone you want except for the Chiefs. They would be more willing to deal with the Jets or the Patriots or the Dolphins than the Chiefs. That's how much Buffalo has to deal with. Listen, the whole situation with the Chiefs and the amount of times they've lost to Indianapolis over the years, the Chiefs are now doing to the Bills what Indianapolis did to us for so many years. Now, there is a big difference in that with Indianapolis, it happened like in 95, and then it happened again in 03, and then in 06. So, it happened during like several different periods of times. Whereas with the Chiefs beating the Bills 3 times, it's all been in a short period of time, all in the same decade. Ross time is up. I like the kid, but health and wealth. Yeah, I don't disagree. Kelce's struggle definitely wasn't at money, but was unusual for him past season. Yeah, and here's a weird thing too, and you're not wrong about this, Chris. He was still one of the better tight ends last year. Last year just was not a great year for the tight end position. It just wasn't. And Travis Kelce was one of the more productive tight ends last season. Dealt with multiple injuries too. I appreciate it, man. Just to be clear, too, and listen, I appreciate the kind words. I really, really do. I'm not a reporter. I'm not a journalist. I'm not any of that stuff. Whenever I joke about inside sources, I make it very clear that it's the most obvious thing that anyone could say. Somebody on the Facebook page commented earlier. They're like, hey, you're my favorite reporter. I'm like, well, thank you, but I'm not a reporter. I do have connections. I talk to people who are in the know, and I 95% of that shit private, because a lot of it is not really like groundbreaking information to share anyway. But I do appreciate you guys who like the content. That means a lot. Thank you. Do I think the Chiefs will get a cornerback? A lot of people think so because of the Snead trade. I think they need to address the left tackle spot first. After that, I could see that as a possibility. I do. Kareem Hunt, Britt Reed, even Tyreek had bigger cases against them. Really, don't get me wrong. Rice's actions are unexcusable too, but there's other examples since just moments. Yeah, and this is the unfortunate part. Like the dynasty and everything, all the success you've had. This has been a really weird, 6-7 years of Chiefs football. You have, all the wins, but then you have all of these off the field legal issues that keep coming up. And then, Patrick's family, let's just say they've generated headlines. You have a super fan who robs banks, allegedly. I think we still have to say that. it's been a really weird year. Like, there's going to be a documentary on this era of Chiefs football, and there's going to be a lot of things to discuss with that Chiefs team. A lot of things to discuss. You know what's funny is, like, the players are aware of these things. They really are. Travis Kelce was on the Pat McAfee show, and he talked about going to M&T Bank Stadium. He's like, yeah, man, we went to that bank. We robbed it like Chiefsaholics. Like, okay, I love it. I paid $1,800 for 2 tickets at Allegiant Stadium just after Thanksgiving. Oh, okay, I was at that game as well. Yeah. See, I paid $2,000 for 4 tickets. Sarah says $3,000 for 4 seats for 5 games, nosebleeder for 5 games? Or wait, or is that $3,000 for each of the 5 games, or $3,000 total in 5 games? I would imagine it's the former. $3,000 each game. Because I mean, I could be wrong. I guess it depends where you're sitting. Oh, Xavier Worthy landed in Kansas City. All right. Welcome in. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a fun year for the Chiefs. I'm excited. Right by the stage. Oh, okay. Yeah, Allegiant Stadium's a nice stadium. I went there for a concert a couple of years ago, and that was nice. Yeah, you couldn't really see the inside of the stadium much because, usually for concerts, this thing it's usually darker. So when I went for the Chiefs Raiders game this past year, the same one as you, Chris, that was a lot of fun. It was nice to actually see the stadium. It is a really nice stadium. They did a great job with it. That's why, like, not that we wanted to discuss this tonight because we got other things to discuss. If the Chiefs are going to build a new stadium or whatever they want to do, the money that they want to spend, do it right. And listen, the Chiefs, every year they go visit 2 of their 3 division rivals that have brand new stadiums. They spent a whole week using the Raiders practice facility, which is brand new. So there's a lot of things I'm sure that they could have looked at and tried to learn from. And if you didn't, why? Why didn't you? I'm curious to see how that all goes. See, for tickets, AFC Championship, we lost to New England today. Those same exact tickets are $300 plus $25 parking. Listen, I don't know if oh wow. So a little bit of news here. So we're 20 minutes away from the 6th, or not the 6th round, the 6 o'clock hour. Round 2 starting. The Bills have fielded several calls from teams looking to get the 33rd pick. Wide receiver remains a key priority for the Bills, who need a strong package to move out for a 3rd time in this draft. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. I'm going to laugh if the Bills trade for a 3rd time. That would be their 3-peat. That is their version of a 3-peat. But anyway, back to Timothy's comment here. I feel like ever since the pandemic, like, social distancing, quarantine, all that stuff, like, went away, I think the prices for a lot of these sporting events have gone up. And again, I don't attend sporting events often, so I don't know exactly, but it just kind of, because with UFC tickets, those definitely skyrocketed by a lot. And I think part of it is too, like, the owners, they lost a lot of money during the pandemic year in 2020. 2021, yeah, they had full capacity, but I think there were some people that might have been hesitant at the time to want to go to games. Now where it's like, okay, it's over with. Like, people are at a point now where they are comfortable with the state of things, and we're back to full capacity. I mean, yeah, I kind of just wonder if that played a role. I went to see the ticket for Chiefs would go for a Sunday, and $180 was the highest or lowest I seen in the 200 section compared to $300 on a Friday. Okay, interesting. Journalism has went down the toilet. Yeah, it's listen. I got a journalism degree, and I worked in the journalism industry for some time. And so whenever like journalists get criticized for certain things, I can understand certain practices and I'll be very quick to defend some of it. But man, there's just some stuff that people in the media do that are just completely unacceptable. I'm like, why? Why do you do that? How many picks will the Chiefs get in the draft? I think they have 6 left. Yeah. Still the same before the trade. Left hand corner, yeah. Is this the first draft that didn't have a linebacker in the first round? I don't know. I don't know. Now, when you look at edge defenders, some of these guys are 3-4 linebackers. Not all of them, but at least one of them, I would imagine. So I don't know. That I would have to look that up. That'd be a surprise to me, Timothy, if that's the first year ever. Because but isn't a 3-4 edge rusher? I mean, those guys are considered linebackers, though, aren't they? I don't know how people look at that. Because I know the word edge gets used more often now than it did before. 3,000 total. Okay, good. That'd be a lot of money if it was 3,000 each. Yeah, not that we want to remember them. Yeah, it's just look. And listen, I'm on the Kansas side. Like, I don't give a shit where they play, Kansas or me. I just want it to be at the right spot. And whatever they do, whether it's renovation or a new stadium, I think it is time for a new stadium. I know they like the traditions and all that stuff, the field crew and everything they put into making sure that field operates right. I get all of that, and I think they can find a way to do it in a brand new stadium. But it is important to get with the times. And if you have a brand new stadium, if you have an indoor stadium with a retractable roof, because I know the Chiefs, the whole flyover, that's a huge tradition, and I know that would cost more money. There are a lot of opportunities if you get an indoor stadium. Clark Hunt really does have an emotional attachment to Arrowhead and the jersey colors and traditions. I don't really know what he's going to do. It's going to be interesting. Everyone took a loss except politicians during the pandemic. That's a fact, Timothy. That is indeed a fact. Have you seen the video of the Bills party? Yes, I actually uploaded that in the morning, so that was pretty funny. The Chiefs just became one of the fastest teams in the NFL with Worthy and Hollywood Brown. Mahomes has to love this pick. 100%, he's thrilled. As soon as the trade was made, he tweeted the emoji with the sunglasses, which is funny. They're listed as defensive ends, not linebackers. Okay. Yeah. And that, I think they broke the record for most offensive players taken in the first round. That was set. And when did the first defensive player go? I want to say around 13, 14, 15, somewhere around there, maybe 16. It was a pretty good night for teams that needed a defensive player. Like, look at a team like the Philadelphia Eagles. They got a really good quarterback, and they didn't really have to do anything in terms of trying to move up to get that guy. They waited quite some time, or did they trade up? I can't recall, but they didn't have to trade up that far. This was a very good draft for teams, or a good first round, I should say, for teams that absolutely needed a defensive player. There are a lot of teams interested in a quarterback this year, which I thought was interesting. A lot of teams also wanted an offensive tackle. The Chiefs are one of them. You saw a lot of offensive tackles go off the board in this draft, which was good to see, because I think we never talk about offensive linemen. We just don't, unless they're doing terrible. So I'm very curious to see the value of offensive linemen go up. And to relate this to the Chiefs, when you look at a guy like Trey Smith, who I hope he stays after 2024 because his contract is up after this year. The guard market skyrocketed this offseason, unfortunately. That's terrible news for the Chiefs. That's why because it's going to be hard to keep a lot of these guys, some of them who are fan favorites. All right, guys, I'm caught up with the comments, and the draft is about to start. Day 2 of the draft is about to get underway, so I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I appreciate all of you guys who joined me for the Red Friday live chat. I apologize for not doing this in the morning like I said I would. Had some things that came up, but hey, we got it in right before the draft, the second round of the draft, one way or the other. I will come back to a podcast as soon as the Chiefs make their selection today. It sounds like the Chiefs are only going to make one selection, but if they trade out of the second round and get multiple third-round picks, then we will do a podcast once both of their picks are made, if that ends up being the case. So come back after the draft selections are made, and we will react to that. Appreciate all of you guys who have been sharing the videos, the podcast links, all of that, watching them. Definitely helps out the page and the podcast a lot. Please keep doing that. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Go enjoy your Friday night. Enjoy the draft. I will talk to you all later tonight. Take care.